My name's Stuart. This is my dear, dear brother, Andrew, and this is the... Will you let me intro this shit?
We've already been through this before.
This is the Not Your Mother's podcast. Now,
Not Your Mother's
I
podcast.
should note that, and I always do note, anytime a guest brings on their own alcohol, because we always drink alcohol on the show, anytime a guest brings on their own alcohol, I'm always appreciative of it, and some people have brought very expensive alcohol, very exciting new kinds to try, but no one has ever brought me the notorious MMA Conor McGregor's Proper 12 whiskey. This is the second time that me and Andrew have partaken of this. The first time we shall not speak of, because we finished this entire bottle, just the two of us, I think. Maybe a little help, but yeah, New Year's Eve 2018, 2019. This is Proper 12 Irish whiskey, and at the bottom it says, smooth is fast. And by the way, I will say, this is... I think Conor wants us to be a direct competitor to Jameson. I'm not going to say that it's... Or, not Jameson, Jameson Caskmates, according to the label, obviously.
Caskmates?
Yeah, because look at the label. This isn't a Jameson label. This looks like Caskmates label with the dark colors.
No, I'd say it's straight Jameson.
No, that's a lighter label. Either way, it is a Jameson...
Talking price point, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm talking about the look of it. The look of it, to me, says Jameson Caskmates or Black Barrel.
Yeah.
At any rate, while I don't feel like it's an... I feel like it's definitely a competitor. I'll just say this. And I drink a decent amount of whiskey.
Waiting for the second vintage.
Yes. Oh, this isn't that? Oh, wow. But it's out now, isn't it? Or no?
I don't know when they're releasing it.
At any rate, we're going on and on about this whiskey. What I will say is, for $20, this is a damn good bottle of whiskey. I was surprised.
Yeah,
I really,
it to also be kind of a souvenir at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really good price.
Yeah, and I really thought Conor... I'm a fan. If you don't know me, that's okay. Or if you don't know who Conor McGregor is, that's okay too. He's at the top of the MMA game. But I'm a fan of Conor, and so I thought... But even being a fan, I thought, well, you know, it looks like he probably just slapped his name, his brand, on some cheap-ass whiskey.
Which he did.
Yeah, but not that bad. Honestly, it's not Jim Beam. It's not Jack Daniels. It's good. It has good flavor. It has good taste.
It'll easily compete at the $35 whiskey.
Yes, agreed. And it's only $20. Triple distilled, golden grain.
That's in California. It's only $20.
And full flavored barley. Proper. I love it. This is great. Thank you. What I mean, all that to say, Andrew purchased this for the podcast. So thank you for that. Let's have a little Proper 12, shall we?
So proper.
Tell me when.
So 12. Never. Never.
Well, shit. We're not doing that. I want to have some left for later. We're not drinking this whole thing tonight. We don't have the battery time on your camera.
Oh, yes.
By the way, one other thing I should mention is we are using all of Andrew's equipment tonight for the podcast. So thank you for that as well.
Except for my light because it died.
Except for your light because it died. But this will mean that those of you watching and listening will not probably, you will most definitely have a better audio experience than usual. So, to Not Your Mother's podcast, cheers.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, this brings back memories.
Of New Year's Eve?
Man, I got so drunk that night. All right, but really, doesn't it taste a lot like Jameson? It's not. It's missing something, but I think
it's a lot more caramelly. It's a lot more. Well, it's young. The problem is it's young. That's the biggest problem with this whiskey. Is it needed more time in the barrels.
Okay.
And what you can do to combat that,
right?
yes, decant it. Don't buy that cheap wood shit. You can buy it's literally like planks of oak or cherry, and they're like put that in your whiskey and it
really. That's interesting.
That's just worthless garbage.
Oh, don't buy that.
Don't
you're
buy
saying
that shit.
Okay.
No.
The idea is to mimic it being in a barrel for longer. Is what you're saying?
Essentially.
Okay.
And that's just garbage. So.
Decanting,
you get a young whiskey, you get a alcohol-heavy whiskey, put it in a decanter, give it a day, give it a week. In a month, this is going to decant and be. I mean, it's less alcohol, but it's going to be essentially you're just you're capitalizing on the flavors. There's a lot of. This doesn't say caramel, but it's very caramely.
Well, what would you say? I'm not saying it has to be Jameson. I know I keep going back to that, and that's Ireland and all that.
I would compare this to your 30.
Don't compare it to Jim Beam.
Hang on, I would compare. Well, I can't actually. I have Jim Beam bourbon. In my brain, I compare it to the price point that Jim Beam most often sells at.
Yes, that is definitely true.
So $30, $35, maybe even a $40. Your Evan Williams. Not your red labels, a lot of black label actually at the $20 price point. Trying to think. I would buy this before I'd buy a bottle of Jameson, but I'm just not a big like Jameson is like it's better as a whiskey. This is because it's actually sat, but at the same time, this is to me, and I decant probably more than anyone else. And I only drink. I'll buy a bottle, take a couple of drinks, and then it'll be a couple of weeks before I even
really
get back to drinking that bottle again. And it's usually in a decanter at that point. So this is a fun, cheap whiskey to decant. To me, it's a kind of a sporty whiskey. I think it's great. I would say I could easily outspend money. Like I spend more money just not to buy this. But especially if you're the kind of person you're gonna drink half a bottle, or you take a couple of drinks and then you don't taste anything after that, this is fine for that. What I think this is obviously it's kind of got the iconic name, but if you want to take a couple of shots, or I wouldn't say shots, but take some drinks of a better whiskey, a blended Scotch, whatever, and then finish the party off with this, that'd be great for that.
At any rate, I really like it. I'm not as much a whiskey snob as my brother is, and that's a term of endearment. But I really like it. I'll just say, for those of you that are like myself, that are casual whiskey drinkers out there, it's a good whiskey to sip for sure. So, the whole reason that we're doing this podcast, Andy's in town. We had a meeting with a client earlier this week, and it was really serendipitous how this worked out. So we had a meeting with a client on Wednesday, and Andrew, we got the tickets booked, we got that taken care of, and
I have a shadow. I'm playing with my shadow.
After he booked the tickets, I realized there was something that was happening, an event that was happening near me that I had wanted to go to, didn't know if I'd have time, but I wanted to go to this event. Is that in the shot? Let's not have that in the shot. Or were you wanting to drink it?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, well,
no, bring it back.
No.
Put it back.
All right, so... All right, so there was an event... We got all manner of drinkage here.
Beer before liquor, never been sicker.
It sounds gross. So there was an event coming up, and I thought to myself, I'd been thinking for a while about going to it, and then when I realized that these times coincided, and that you were going to be in town when the event was going on, I thought, well, we have to go together. Like there's
obviously.
just now, like before, I wanted to go. And then I realized you were going to be in town, like we have to go. And then the day before the event went down, a friend of mine who was attending as well said, "Hey man, are you coming to this thing? I'd like you to be there." And I thought, well, we've got to go. So the event it's not an annual thing so much, and I want you to speak more to why I got started. Excuse me, and what its true intent is. Because you explained that to me the other day, and that was very interesting. I didn't realize that. So the out event was yesterday. Right? We're filming this on Saturday the 23rd. That event was yesterday. And that event was a Hyles-Anderson College alumni meeting. And it's, meet and greet. Yeah, it was a dinner and then a presentation.
Everybody was as vague on what was happening by the time they got there as we were. Mm-hmm.
But basically the format is we sit down and we eat, and then we go watch a presentation, and we're all alumni for the most part. Everyone that was there had attended and or graduated. Not attended, graduated. Everyone that was there, I think, had graduated. Except for me. Except for you. And there were a few people there that hadn't attended at all. Yeah. Graduated from Hyles-Anderson College. Some of you may not know what Hyles-Anderson College is. I'll be brief, but I'll let you know. And some of you... Most of you, I think, may know, and it's not against any of you that don't know. So Hyles-Anderson College is an unaccredited, independent, fundamental Baptist Bible college located in Crown Point, Northwest Indiana. And if you want to go there and you don't need a degree for whatever you're going to be doing, if you're only going to be doing ministry work inside of a cult, and that's all you want to do, and you're in the independent fundamental Baptist cult, it's a perfect spot for you. So I highly recommend it to those of you that are in the independent fundamental Baptist cult and you want to continue being in the cult and you want to propagate its doctrines and philosophies and also have a degree that will turn out to be useless to you in the future. By all means, attend Hyles-Anderson College and graduate like I did.
So, I mean, like just to delve into the uselessness, though.
Yes.
And they were really capitalizing hard on this because they had promotional videos that were they're generic, but they were really hammering in on they were getting pastors who ran churches of probably well over 1,000 people.
Mini mega churches, I call them.
Yeah, mini megas, whatever.
I'm trying to remember.
So they're getting
Mutchler. Is it Mike Mutchler, Randy Toole, Dean Noonan,
Kevin Cowling.
Kevin Cowling. We talked about him on the podcast before. Some of you may remember. Those type churches, not your enormous churches, but still very big, especially for that cult.
They got well known in the cult, but they had those people saying, "I've hired X number of people."
It's all about numbers.
From Hyles-Anderson.
I sent my kids
interested, and basically, here's what they were doing. And this I had experienced a long time ago when I was helping a buddy of mine get what wound up being a scholarship. But he was being interviewed by the Merchant Marine Academy, the Naval Academy, and blah blah blah. Because if you're going to go into if your trajectory out of high school is thus that you can potentially go to like the military academy at West Point, something like that. You enter just like you would if you were going to go to Purdue, which is a school in Indiana. I think that's pretty well known.
South
But
Bend.
if you're going to go to Duke, you would not just apply to Duke, even if you knew you'd get in. You'd apply to 3 or 4 so that you had options, and potentially you could say, well, so and so's offered me this. What can you do, etc. Once you'd
have a bargaining chip.
So it's the same thing. If you're going to military academy, if you're going to the really high end school, I was helping this kid. We were doing the interviews. We'd gone out to the East Coast for a week, and he wanted to fly planes, and we were at the Merchant Marine Academy, and this lady who was a real asshole, she's like, we have 100% hire rate for our graduates, and we can guarantee you a job. And I just directly asked her, I'm like, you can guarantee that he'll be a pilot. We can't guarantee the future. I said, you just said you guarantee him a job.
This is
What's
school
the
for pilots.
job? Well, I can't really guarantee anything. And she went all the way back there. And I mean, yeah.
Well,
and
I'm actually lying to you.
I'm like, you're just a total asshole is all you are. So I'm like, he wants to be a pilot. That's the whole point of this situation. But that's basically what they were doing, is they were saying, you come to Hyles-Anderson, we guarantee you're going to land as an assistant pastor, as a youth pastor.
In one of these big churches, have a great salary, have a great pension, have a great
gone beyond,
benefits package,
it's
all
gone
that shit.
beyond your usual guilting into a lifetime of service or just selling sex, which they do a lot of, because it's selling a wife. You go to Hyles, you go to college to get a wife.
Yep.
To get pussy. You go there to get.
They will literally tell you you're here for. They'll tell I don't think they'll tell the guys that so much, but I've heard so many times you're here to get a husband. Like that is the whole reason you're here at Hyles-Anderson College is for you to find
Pucker
a husband.
those cheeks up.
Yeah, there's that. At any rate,
so essentially what they were doing is it's very mainstream, because lots of colleges will put out their statistics on, like, if you have a financial program that's really good, you're going to be like, this number of people went to Wall Street and are doing a $500,000 a year job or whatever.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
To incentivize people to attend.
They're sending out those numbers and they're saying, well, we're going to guarantee you, if you want to come to us, you're going to land in one of the best churches that we have to offer.
That's definitely
bullshit, but that's definitely the vibe and the direction that.
To me, what also I took from that, listening to these pastors like give their testimonies and whatever.
Hey, I'm Randy Toole. I've got a stick so far up my ass, I can barely move my lips.
Are you also Batman?
What's going on? I'm Randy Batman Toole.
Randy Batman Toole.
Fuck this
Goose.
shit.
What is it? Goose.
So no, but what I love is he gets like, and if you don't know Randy Toole, you don't know him, so you can just. I'm sorry, but basically he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And he got like 3 words into like his, and it's scripted. You can tell they're all scripts.
They're all.
And he gets like
the
3 words into the first sentence, and his eyes gloss over, and you can tell
he's slipped into his little
well,
script.
he's like, I'm here because I'm getting paid, but I really would rather be riding a hog.
Yeah.
He hides motorcycles from the church. Don't know that. He has motorcycles, doesn't tell anybody in church about them.
Jesus Christ.
And who the hell knows what all else he's got.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on Randy, but we're not going to today.
Why not?
Because we're not talking about that today. What we're talking about is the Hyles-Anderson College alumni meeting. And what I took from listening to these guys go on and on about how great Hyles-Anderson College was, because we weren't looking, like, it wasn't students that had come, it was people who were, graduates
had
already gone. And what you had said to me before in the past, not in the past, but yesterday, you said, you kind of talked me through, and I didn't realize this, the whole, the inception of this idea of doing these alumni meetings. Can you talk me through why? Because you were there. I was gone.
Yeah,
I wasn't gone from the cult. I was gone from that that area of the country, so I wasn't aware of what was going on.
Right.
So why did they get started, and
Well,
what's generally the purpose of them?
To the best of my understanding, because I was there when they kind of shuffled Ray out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ray Young, who was the president of the college, and now
Stuart
just kind
Mason
of
took
travels
over.
speaking.
Yeah, and to the best of my understanding, because I ask people a lot of questions.
You're an asshole.
I'm an asshole. That's right. I ask people questions. One of my favorite things to say is I don't know. I had a teacher I have had more than one teacher come unglued and say, even I've had people that I worked for come unglued and say, if I hear you say I don't know one more time, I'm going to lose it. But I'm like, I don't mind saying I don't know.
It's okay to not know.
Yes. Because if I don't know, and I'm going to ask.
Or you can make up some bullshit answer like everyone else does.
Which I like doing sometimes, but really when it's like something... Yeah, anyway, yeah, you can do that. But, so, I was selling my services at Hyles-Anderson College, and I needed to sell as many suits as I could. At one point, I actually wound up on a phone call with Ray Young trying to sell him clothes, which just...
And again, this is... I'm sure that was interesting, to say the least. So, was it jeans? Were you selling him jeans? He loves jeans.
Suits. Yeah,
so it was what you were doing was you were working with the tour department and getting them outfitted, if I'm correct. Do I remember that correctly? And that's a lot of suits. And that's a lot of suits and a lot of women's suits and men's suits.
I saved them a lot of
I'm sure you
money
saved them a shitload,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Did you do alterations for a whole year of tour?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did
That's
all
a
the
lot.
alterations. Yeah, no, and I just tried to build that in my costs. I totally got screwed over on the accent.
Well, of course.
I learned a lot. I did a lot of bad alterations as well. But I mean,
they weren't great before. Trust me, I had some.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Though, like literally, I replaced some lady in her 70s who couldn't hardly sew. So it was just like.
Well, Mrs. O'Kelly, right? Was it Mrs. O'Kelly?
Whoever was doing Scott suits was bad too.
Really? I thought his suits always fit great. No?
Well, not necessarily not fit. Like they just weren't done well.
Maybe when he gets out, you can hook him up.
God no. Yeah, I will. I will sew some
different kind
cat
of hook.
shit into his lining.
All right.
Anyway.
What's the whole point of these alumni meetings?
Okay, so to the best of my understanding, well, let's backtrack a little bit further.
Sure.
Jack Scott had this binge that he went on about the Holy Spirit and having
Jesus
sex.
sex.
With Jesus sex. It was like the Lord's Supper is you having intercourse with the Holy Spirit, and basically it should be just like that. You be, Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit's
polish
like,
that shit.
Jesus Christ, yes. All right, and then you're drinking the wine and you're eating that cracker, and you're just like,
all right.
Oh yes.
Please continue.
God, yes.
You haven't even had that much to drink.
So no, because that's exactly exactly what it was.
That's how his dialogue was, though. You watch him do the polished shaft thing, and it's like,
oh,
dude,
I never dreamed of her, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, of course it's gonna hurt.
For those of you that may not get it, and I understand that, like he is doing an exact replication of how Jack Scott sounded. No, I'm going to do it. What you did before that, I hated. How Jack Scott sounded from the pulpit while he took a piece of wood and carved it. Yeah,
no, he was literally
like
clothing an arrow.
Just this, like
he had a hanky
while
and
he was making.
He's doing this with the arrow
while he's making climactic sounds, and we didn't catch it. How we didn't catch it, I don't know.
All the guys on the platform
I didn't
caught
catch
it.
Yeah,
most of them. His son-in-law caught it.
Todd Weber is my favorite because even though he's heard this sermon a gazillion times, the clip that has been very viral on YouTube is Todd just being like, "Oh shit!"
And then Ray Young is just like,
not this shit again.
Well, I mean, it's not doing it for him. He's into jeans.
Yeah, he is, and hair.
I can't imagine how many rub sores he's got on his dick from like.
All right, stop.
Jeans.
So he's not Rick Sanchez. So.
No, but Rick
so
Sanchez,
the whole point of these meetings was, as far as I recall, was to bring people back into the fold after Scott had ostracized everyone.
I will go into that.
I know, but we have gone around it several times.
No, I just had to go back to Jack Scott bringing sex into the intercourse with the Holy Spirit situation because of the Lord's Supper and whatnot. That caused a fracture in kind of the independent. There was still basically it'd be like your pastor doesn't agree with them, and half the church is kind of on your pastor's side, and the other half of the church is still like Jack Scott is God.
He's the shit. Yeah.
So and that's we saw
he really
a lot
was
of
God.
that,
Yeah,
this thing.
He was God to me.
He was the Pope.
Yeah.
So it was not like a complete separation. There were just sort of like fault lines that just kind of began to form because of that. And then when Scott got put down, they were very, very aware. Like, what they've done is so smart. I mean, it's very business savvy. But they were very, very aware that they needed to repair all of that. And so they took...
And, sorry, just to break for a moment. So all of that meaning these churches have really feel like they're separate now from First Baptist Church Hammond and Hyles-Anderson College. And what that means for Hyles-Anderson is enrollment's going to plummet. People aren't going to come to youth conference. We're not going to have that many people come to pastor school.
Money.
It's all money, but like those are the back end of all that.
FBMI, the Fundamental Baptist Missions
yes.
International,
Mm-hmm.
they make... I mean, my parents, I think, quit sending them checks this year, but if you think that, like, 5 cents of a dollar going into some random charity organization is bad, they are... God only knows what they're doing with that money, but it is not...
It ain't what you think it is.
At one point, they owned 2 buildings in India. I mean, multi-million-dollar...
Yeah, not shacks.
Pieces of land.
Right.
And were just... They were doing what Scientology was doing. They were just sitting on them.
Get those
buildings. They were
buildings.
reporting it, saying, yes, this is like new construction, or this is what we're doing, so they're not having to pay that money out in taxes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. And then they took a degreed engineer over there to minister to Indian people because he was Indian. They left him stranded for 2 years, and finally he's like, fuck this shit. Yeah, Rao, I'm trying to remember his name. I bought his car from him.
Wow.
And he's like, fuck this shit. He came back.
Damn.
And then
Poor guy.
that fell apart right
when... That place has screwed over so many fucking people.
Anyway,
but what you're saying is, what we're talking about is, now we're talking about...
I'm talking about the...
Jack Scopp has fucked up their revenue stream.
Right.
And especially after he went away to federal penitentiary.
FBMI, what I was just saying, one of those facets is that their mission board that is run through that
Fundamental Baptist Missions International.
Hundreds of millions of dollars a year. People just mindlessly cut their check to that mission board, and the money's supposed to get funneled
and you
back.
have to look at small denominations. You send $30 a month or $100 bucks.
Yeah.
It's not gazillions of dollars all at once.
When you've got 250,000 people sending you between $35 and $150 a month,
you're making bank.
That's a lot of fucking money. And they know, like, it's funny because we don't think about this stuff that happens behind the scenes, but they're aware when a third of that income stream goes away, they know exactly where they need to go repair things.
Exactly, yeah. Because they get the checks in the fucking mail.
They're cashed all these fucking checks. So they know what to do, and they're very smart. They took Ray Young, who is the most bland person on earth, and they unseated him. They unseated him as president. And they started booking tours.
They swapped him out for
him.
Stuart at the time, right?
Yeah, Stuart Mason.
I think so, yeah.
Which was interesting.
To say the least.
But they
had
took
him booking appointments.
And they booked him
meetings, yeah.
All over, just like what we went to last night. Just like what we went to last night. They booked these little meetings everywhere, and... they would basically he's basically reselling the college, and it's a lot of going back to like what we saw last night. Like even Wilkerson, the pastor for First Church, showed up. Yep. Which was just
and the president of the college was there too. Dave Douglas is there. Yeah.
And what they're trying to do, and especially, I mean, the reason they're all here in California, I'm 100% positive, is because of what's going on with Bruce Goddard right now.
Faith Baptist Church. Yeah.
So Bruce Goddard is Bruce Goddard did not separate himself during the Scopp thing.
No,
he has separated himself more recently.
I don't know. It might have been.
No, because he was there when I was there.
That's true. He's preached within the last couple of years.
They were sucking his dick really hard because he got evicted from his house. So this is a beautiful. This is just a beautiful
story for
thing. So he was so stupid. He gave all of his money to his own church that was failing so badly. It was taking all of his money. Couldn't pay. I can't remember if it was a mortgage or if he was just it was a mortgage. So their idea of God blessing him was someone in his church buying his house when he went bankrupt and then letting him rent that house from the guy who bought it. And I'm like, that is so fucked up. It's just some next level garbage, and it's like, that's just fucking bullshit.
Dude. But again, what you're saying, it makes sense. The reason they're out here, and part of the reason, as far as I understand, we won't get into it too deep, part of the reason they're like flying a tour group out for like one meeting out here has a lot to do, and we'll get into this in another episode at a different time when it's right.
Bruce Goddard
with Faith Baptist Church.
Big numbers to
to Hyles-Anderson College.
He was a big... And one of the things, though...
And the other thing with Bruce you have to remember is Bruce is not... I don't think he's the first graduate, but he's one of the very first graduates of Hyles-Anderson College to come, not necessarily just to Southern California, but to leave the church or leave the college, start with next to nothing, and build a pretty big work. Mm-hmm. So he's I don't know what the right word is, but he's a big deal there. Like I heard, I had to when I was in college, I think it's called How to Walk with God. I had to buy one of his books for curriculum for one of my classes. Like,
well, and you want to talk about another money
circle. It was a big deal there.
Another way to make money
yes.
is once you do make it, they're going to start using your material. And when it's mandatory material, you're talking about, maybe it's 200 people or a couple thousand people, and we're now having to buy your book across America in these little college institutions.
And remember, it's symbiotic. They're doing that for you, and you're also sending them kids that are paying you umpteen thousands of dollars a year.
If you made it, like you're like Bruce, and then you've made this book, and now people in West Coast and here and these other little colleges are having to buy your book for curriculum. That is an influx of tens of thousands of dollars every year.
Aside from your tithe, aside from your missions, aside from all the money you're bringing in at your church, you've got like Joel Osteen, you've got your book sales. That's a big deal. That's making you a lot of money.
But anyway.
So, the whole point, in our opinion, of these meetings is to pull in graduates, pastors, people who will bring in more students, pull them back in and say, look, we're doing okay. Jack Scott didn't fuck us that bad. We're not like him. We're not pedophiles, although some of them are. No one confirmed that was at the meeting last night, but although some of them are at the college. So bringing the goal of these meetings is to get you to say, okay, it's not that they're not all Jack Scott. It's not that bad.
It's to pour super glue in the fractures. It's to bring everything back together and re-solidify their income stream. And the reason that all the higher ups were exactly where we were the other night is because California's got a lot of money to spend.
Yep.
And this has been an area that has caused them a great deal of pain, and obviously because of who showed up, it cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so they spent, and I was like, when he's like, we're flying a tour group out, I'm aware of exactly of how short they fund all the tour groups.
Oh, it's tight.
Like, it's tight. It's not even.
There was when I was on tour, there was a goal to see who could be the cheapest per week, who could spend the least amount of money. So flying them out is a big deal for a couple reasons. One, because of the money they're spending, and two, because that means there's not a West Coast tour.
Here's another thing: there were 30 people, 35 people there.
Yeah,
and they flew the president of Hyles-Anderson College.
Yep. The chancellor of Hyles-Anderson College, pastor of First Baptist Church Hammond.
And then, the pastor of First Baptist Church Hammond.
And their star speaker.
If you don't know what First Baptist Church is, they're not running what they used to, but they're tens of thousands strong.
It's still a powerhouse.
It's a mega church, and they flew him out. Now, when they fly him out, they're used to his plane ticket being paid for, his hotel stay being paid for, all of his food being taken care of. And then everything. He's getting paid decently, and I'm sure that they've structured it to a point where the church is getting a sweet piece of the action as well.
Oh, no doubt, yeah.
So when they fly him out, it's probably never ever no less than for him to speak to 500 or 600 people minimum, and then they're used to thousands.
Right, and they get a love offering on top of that.
So to fly him out to talk to 35 people in the middle of the desert is like, what the fuck is wrong right now? It's a problem.
Something's up. It's a red flag.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is, I think we've made some really valid points so far, and I love it. What I want to do is kind of go through a few things, because we posted this in a few groups that we went last night. I posted on the podcast page, as some of you will see. And what I should say, it just flipped on and off. Is everything okay with the recording? Is it still recording?
Oh, no. It just, the screen just is
okay.
It'll.
We're using a different device, and so I'm not used to it. So what I wanted to get to was, we had posted this in a few different places. We posted on the podcast page, and what I do want to say, I know we're way too late into the podcast to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. For those of you that are still sticking out with us, I am so fucking sorry that it has been since December something that I haven't posted. It's been 2 months since we posted a podcast, and I am posting this on Sunday the 24th. I'm saying it now so that I have to do it and put this up, but I'm sorry it's been so long. I'm thrilled to be back with you on this episode and look forward to putting out more episodes in the future. We have 4 or 5 episodes, as I keep telling you, already recorded. Just haven't put them out there yet. So anyways, that was a quick commercial break. getting back to kind of some of the feedback that we got from groups that we posted.
Well, can we go into why we went?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna do. Right, so good. A lot of people are asking like, why? Like, not why the fuck. Although that's what I would. Is like, why did you even stop? Why did you even go? Like, what was the point? What prompted you to go? What made you go? Someone said, oh, I guess the dentist was busy that day. You couldn't get your root canal, so you did this instead. Right, yeah. For the level of pain that it caused. So a couple things I want to say first and very much foremost, what we're going to get into here is kind of the why we went and kind of how it went down and what happened when we were there, because I feel like a lot of people would be curious to hear that. So what I want to say initially is we pulled up, right? We pulled up. Andrew was with me. His dear and very patient wife, Michelle, was with us. We pulled up, and I saw John Wilkerson at the front door. Now, I won't get very granular here, but I will be delicate. But my family, the Hardys, have had dealings between my mother and father. Yeah. We have had dealings with Wilkerson in the past.
I was Wilkerson's personal tailor.
Yes.
When my mom released her statement about Pete Cowling, who I was living with, so they could tailor clothes for John Wilkerson.
Right. So, and again, that's as granular as we're going to get on that, because we do respect our mother's story. But because of our past with him, we pulled up, we got out of the car, and we weren't marching in there like badasses at all. Maybe Andrew was. I wasn't.
So badass.
I was more like, what's going to happen? This is fucked. We got there. I heard John Wilkerson at the door. Oh, God bless you. It's so great. That's not how he sounds. I don't know.
He's a social gorilla.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he takes like being social with his people, like it's a guerrilla warfare thing.
Agreed.
And when I say that, I mean like it's like he's fucking good at it.
Yeah. So, and he's a great salesman. You've mentioned this before. So I heard John at the door talking to people.
He could sell me a penis extension. I don't need one.
I mean, that's fine. I'll take one. But he's at the door, and I heard his voice, and I don't mean to be insensitive, but I wouldn't use the word triggered. I would just use the word like,
frightened.
Not frightened, but more
scared.
Like, not even just. It's not a word. It's more of, oh shit, I'm really doing this. Because I've talked about it, I've joked about it, I've bragged about it, I thought it was funny, I thought it was ironic, and then all of a sudden, here we are and we're actually doing the thing, and John Wilkerson, the man who my family has confronted on multiple occasions about issues that we've had with Hyles-Anderson College with him himself, all of a sudden he's going to be right there, I'm going to have to shake his hand. I don't know about this, so we left. It was my call. Andrew was ready to go. We left, went to Starbucks, got some drinks. I wish I'd had whiskey because I definitely would have had some. I forgot to bring my flask, which is regrettable.
I didn't bring my flask.
I know, very regrettable. So
I was gonna say that's the only thing that made that night any better would have been if we were pretty drunk.
I wanted to be, but then I had to drive afterwards. But I could have got drunk right when I got there. I've done that. What was the last time I did? Did that for a Legacy 5 concert. It was a great concert recently. So, anyways, we got there and I left immediately. I said, we got to take off. I can't walk through that door if John Wilkerson is going to be there to greet me. I can go in there, but if the first person I'm going to see and have to interact with is going to be John Wilkerson, I can't do it.
I get that because you're used to the power dynamic that existed before him, and he's just not that. Because he doesn't need to be. Because he's very unassuming. All of the power resides on Eddie Lapina.
Yeah.
And whoever Eddie Lapina chooses to bless with his dick.
That's exactly how it works. Not his dick necessarily, but yeah.
Yeah, trust me, they're doing something wrong.
At any rate, we left. We got there, we left. Went to Starbucks, we came back, we sat for a few minutes. I ensured that John Wilkerson was no longer at the door. And then we went in. So before we get to, as far as how it went down and what happened after we got inside, why did we go? I had a conversation. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you called me. Did you call me first? Didn't you tell me this was like a thing that was going to happen?
Yeah, no, I did. But I wanted to back up even further than that. I had a conversation with a friend of ours. We've both been on his podcast, Josh Owens.
Okay.
And I don't remember what day it was at all, but I remember I went back through, ever so often I'll go through and listen to 5 or 6, while I'm working, listen to 5 or 6 sermons from Hyles-Anderson College Chapel. I know. It's a fool's errand.
Now, that's Stuart's, seeing John Wilkerson is triggering. Didn't bother me at all. Listening to that shit, I would literally break whatever device.
The opposites, I guess. I don't know. I was listening to some sermons, and so then, as I'm listening to Hyles-Anderson College Chapel sermons, I think, well, I'm going to go listen to some old tour music, and then I get into a YouTube, rabbit hole, and I'm watching fucking Robert Lopez. I love Robert, and I'm watching Jack's Cops. Oh no, I know what sent me down this rabbit hole. Fucking Aaron Lanning, I'll name him right now, sent me a text and said, "Hey, I think this was Jack's Cops' last wedding that he performed. Shit was creepy as fuck." So I watched that, and I was watching Steven Anderson. I was listening to my old tour music, all that shit. And it was either that night. That night, I sent 3 or 4 people DMs of videos of I don't remember what the guy's name is, but there was an old guy at First Baptist.
I need content for a documentary, so you could actually be sending me.
All right, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, because one thing that I hate, and this is so like, I just got done doctoring up a Scientology video.
Oh yeah, that's great.
What I hate about the Independent Fundamental Baptists is whether they know it or not. And I think part of it is they don't put short form content out there because downloading 17 hours of something to get
to clip 2 minutes.
Yeah, at the most 2 minutes of that.
You remember we did that with Trieber?
Yeah.
You did that with Trieber, and I did that with Trieber.
Yeah, it's a fucking pain.
It's not easy. It's whether they're doing it on purpose or not. Now, if they see this, because some of them are watching, there's a 300 something.
Yeah, guys, keep long term. I don't mind because it's a pain, but yeah, if you put 3 hours out,
rich content.
Very rich because. Like, you say something really stupid, and then you go back and refine it in ways we couldn't edit. So, I mean,
you did the work for us. So, I went down that rabbit hole, and I sent a bunch of people DMs. There's an old guy, he may no longer be with us. God rest his soul if that's the case. Rest in peace, however you want to say it. There's an old guy that used to sing at First Baptist Hammond. Not Bill Burr. He's gone. Different Bill Burr, not the comedian, not the funny guy. And he would. This guy was funny too, though. He would sing it. He had a lot of songs, but he had. They let him sing because of something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he had a good voice.
Oh, you're ugly. You can sing.
No, it was more like he had something on someone, so they had to let him sing every quarter or some shit. Yeah. And he would sing, a song, and it would go, "What's wrong with my children? Why don't they praise me?" Something along those lines.
Yeah, sounds right.
I sent it to John Warden. I love John. He's been on the podcast many times. But I sent a bunch of DMs to people that night. I went way down a rabbit hole, and I'm listening to all this shit. And I legit told Josh Owens that night, coming back to Josh, we both talked to Josh extensively, and he'll be on the podcast in the future here very soon. But I said, I miss it. I really do. And you said that last night. Something along those lines. Yes. I don't know how drunk you were, but
I wasn't drunk at all.
You're right, you weren't. But there is a part of you, and don't take this the wrong way. Don't think like, oh, he misses it, so he wants to go back, or oh, he misses it, so maybe he doesn't believe the way he stated in the past. No. I still believe it. But when you've been a part of something from birth through your 20-somethings, through the entirety of your young adulthood. There, you cannot, and I don't think it is. I've talked to my therapist about it. I don't think it's an unhealthy thing to at least recognize, like, there's a part of me that kind of wants to go back, but
you
misses
need to recognize. Yeah, if you can't recognize you miss it, then you're always going to be struggling with. Because it took me that. That's why people that walk away from faith or God, whatever, however you want to phrase that, they're going to be bouncing, as we would have said, in and out of church. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And oh God. But
that's a lot to unpack. I understand.
But he says from birth, and like it's really hard to. We're not talking about like I was 4 or 5. We're talking like last night at an alumni meeting where there are literally 35 people. There were 3 women in there with babies,
baby babies, not toddlers, baby babies.
Yeah, like they have no ability to do anything with their life. These babies, literally, probably, and we're here. This was the first time we were a witness. There's a famous saying. Do you remember it? This is the first time we were a witness to the first time they saw anything. But this was probably, God, the 5th, 6th, maybe the 10th time they had to sit through a sermon.
Oh, easily. And what's the saying that we remember growing up? Born on a Monday, in church on a Wednesday, or born on Friday, in church on Sunday. Yeah, like that was the thing, and that people, they take pride in that shit. It's not bullshit. It's not like something like, oh man, I gotta take my kid to church. It's like, oh, I can't wait to take my kid and throw him in the nursery.
To take it a step further, you're talking about having a kid that age, and by the time you're 4 years old, we didn't eat on Sunday night if we fell asleep Sunday night during church. You didn't eat before bed. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
All this shit out.
I have, yeah.
And then...
Well, no, sorry, time out.
Wednesday night.
I distinctly remember. What do you mean? Hang on, let me back
maybe
up.
they let you.
What
eat
do I? No, I remember
was,
a big pot of ramen on Sunday night in Unshackled.
That was our.
That was a celebration.
Sunday
day.
night, yeah. So Sunday night, it was a treat to have
I could
ramen.
go for some ramen right now.
I know. See, that's the funny thing. People hate ramen. We love ramen.
I fucking love it.
That's how poor we were. Ramen was a treat. For us.
Yeah, ramen was. Dude, do you remember how much? And look, let me back up really quick though. We love our fucking parents to death. And our parents are doing amazing things for the people that they love, the people in their church. We got nothing against them at all. Well, I don't. I shouldn't speak for us. I speak for myself. I don't have anything against them at all.
But I hold them accountable for anything that was stupid that they did.
That's fair. But
I mean, everybody should. That's, I think, where...
So I just want to make that clear. Like, we're not here to shit on our parents. We're just saying, like, this is how life was for us in the independent fundamental Baptist cult, because we weren't on the highest run. We weren't the Jack Scopps, and we weren't the Jack Hyles. We weren't the Dean Newmans and the Mike Mutzlers.
We were on the level that most people
and the Randy Tools and the Scott Tools. We weren't them. We were us. Mm-hmm. We were low level. And so, ramen noodles was a treat.
90% of full-time Christian servants, if you want to call it that.
90% or more.
That's exactly where they live.
Because it's a pyramid scheme. There's that.
Yeah.
But McDonald's. How many times do you think we went to McDonald's as children?
Like, I only have
hardly
2 memories of McDonald's.
I have
until
one.
I was an adult.
Yeah, I have one.
Until I was buying my own McDonald's.
Yeah.
And one was I went to a hospital, and so coming back.
Fuck.
Because it was the first time I was actually put under for a procedure. And coming back, I got McDonald's, and then.
I remember going once and getting an ice cream cone. I'm sure we went more than that, but like that's all I remember.
Then the other memory is really also big. It was a church breakfast thing.
Okay. Also, to frame this in the fully proper perspective, we lived in buttfuck Egypt. We lived in Podunk Hollow. We lived in the middle of nowhere. When McDonald's opened in Knox, Indiana, I don't know how old you were. I don't know if you should have been born.
5 or 6.
But when it opened, the first day there was a fucking line around the block for that coffee in the morning. Like there were more factors than just our parents not being able to do it for us. It was also the fact that like it was quite the commodity. What else do we have? I'm sorry, I'm gonna go down memory lane for a second. We have McDonald's. I remember before that though. I think we had A&W, didn't we? We had that root beer spot. It was like a drive-in spot.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was A&W. Oh, there was an A&W.
Yeah, it was A&W. I thought it was A&W.
It was an original one.
Yeah. Eventually, we got Taco Bell. Since I've been back, they got everything.
I don't remember Taco Bell. I remember when Subway
they have Taco Bell now.
Subway came in, and then there was Family. Was it Family Dollar?
Oh yeah, Family Dollar
across the street from the gas station where Subway was, and then other than that,
Alco. I remember coming in because we ran their ads in the paper.
But by the time we were, there was five star in the strip mall, but. By the time we left, the only restaurants that were in town were Subway and McDonald's when we left.
There was one right on the outskirts of town, and I can't remember. It was a sit-down restaurant, and I remember me and Daddy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was further down the road.
Right, but it was still. Oh, was it?
It was closer to what's her face?
North Judson?
Yes.
Okay, but I remember going there, taking John Cover there one morning. It's nothing against John; he's a good guy, but we took John there one morning, and. And this is how this also speaks to though, not just saying like cult and parents and not going out to eat. It's all of us. It was that whole demographic where we lived. We couldn't afford that shit, and so I remember we took John out to breakfast, and the lady came over to him and asked him how he wanted his eggs. See, Andrew knows. She said, "How do you want your eggs?" And John just kind of dumbfounded and was like, "Cooked." She's like, "No, scrambled over easy." Like, what do you want? We're way off track now, but I wanted to take that little trek down memory lane. So what we're getting at though is the way we were raised, the way the cult works, and the fact that these children we saw, these were children who were they're
have no will.
Toddlers.
They have no will of their own.
Yeah, and here they are.
Them to
Ray Young and his genes.
Yeah. It is bad. It's horrible. The fact that that's okay is horrible.
So why did we go? And this is for me. I have had 2 or 3 people ask me via direct message and on Facebook posts, why did you go? My immediate answer is when I went on my way driving the few days before, I knew why I wanted to go, and that was I just want to see what the fuck's going on. And when I got there, I'm like, why the fuck am I here? I didn't know why I went. And that's the God honest truth. And I've responded to several people to tell them, once I got there, why did you go? I thought I knew why I wanted to go. When I got there, I wasn't sure why I was there. What would you say?
I wanted to go, and I still want to go.
You want to go again?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Jesus.
Because my plan was to set up across I'm so used to these events, but these events are usually much bigger, and it wasn't big enough for me to do what I wanted to do. I have been preparing for the last several weeks. I have this, which I've never had before. It's the Andy Hardy.
It's really fucking cool, and you pulled a lot of strings to put that together.
Yes, I did a lot of shit to get everything that I wanted. I was here to do videography work, period, anyway, so I had all of that equipment with. I was like, what I want to do is I want to set up across the street, and I want to interview people. And I had a whole list of interview questions. It was dark. I did have a light, so we still could have made it work. But what happened is the crowd was too small. Yeah. There was only one person we'd have really been able to engage with. And
he was very engaging.
Oh, he was extremely engaging. But we just weren't going to be able... I wasn't going to be able to pull the content I wanted. Yeah. We weren't... They started out in one facility and then walked across an entire campus to another.
We started in the dining hall and went to the auditorium.
Logistically, not knowing when they were going to disassemble... and how long it was going to take for everyone to file out of that building. I didn't feel that it was... Had there been more than 100 people, I'd had no problem setting up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, by the time anybody who's in charge gets wind of anything, I'd had 4 or 5 solid interviews.
But the truth is, you weren't setting up to interview to be a dick or to interrogate.
No, I was going to ask some legitimate...
You just want content.
I was going to ask some legitimate questions. Questions that to them could have seemed promotionary or promotional material. Promotionary is probably not a word.
It is now.
Questions that
promotionary
seemed legitimate, like why did you go? Just really basic stuff. But that then actually, once were shed in the light of reality, had a much different. If you answered why did you go to Hyles-Anderson College? From the outside looking in, like those would be very enlightening because those are the things people want to know. People want to see.
We're curious.
What they don't understand, from a victim, someone who's been serially abused by this organization, why you go back. If you've had a horrible time in high school and like your life has been hell because you've been basically starved to death and you've never had anything, and then why would you then go on to serve in that cult or go to the college? And then what I want to do is I want to show those people who don't understand why. And a lot of times because like all your other options have been taken away, or at least you feel that way.
And to be fair, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, your goal here is not to exploit anyone. It's to help others see whether they're in the cult themselves, whether they're on their way out, whether they have a friend or a family member who's on their way out, or whether they just want to gain knowledge about this crazy shit, to spread that knowledge around. It's not to exploit people. It's to show people, look, this is the truth of it. This is what they really believe.
The only people I'm 100% willing to exploit are the people who are in a position
who are benefiting.
They either have the access to the knowledge, or they're completely aware of what a shit show it all is. Those are the people I'm happy to exploit. Those are the people I'm happy to make look like shitholes because they are shitholes.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Those would also be the people that are benefiting from the underlings, from the people like us.
A lot of people, but there are a lot of innocent missionaries. And I don't know how many of them, but there are a lot of innocent people who benefit off other people. Last time I gave money to a church, I was giving money to my dad's church because it was like, this is how my dad gets his paycheck. And then as I slipped that $25 or whatever it was in the offering plate, I'm like, ooh, I could have just given it to Dad.
I like that. That's the highlight here.
And it's just like...
Yeah. Like, why does it have to go through that conduit?
Yeah, but he's not going to get that $25.
No, it's going to go to the building fund.
$600 a week or whatever he's getting paid.
Sure.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
If he needs money, give him the money.
Mm-hmm. So, why we went, Andrew had his reasons here with the Andy Hardy show. My reason, like I said, when I got there, I wasn't sure why, but I will tell you this, leading up to it, I had this, not a yearning or a feeling like, oh, I want to go back there, because I will tell you the truth right now, for the last week, not every night, but several nights, I've had, it was either last night or the night before, I had a Hyles-Anderson nightmare. The nightmare, if you went to Hyles-Anderson or a similar cult college that's unaccredited, most of you have had a nightmare where you're stuck on campus. I have never once had that nightmare until it was either the night before we went or it was last night. I think it was last night after we went that I finally had that nightmare. So,
dude,
I'm not saying it benefited me.
I used to have nightmares because, like, the college.
You went to Grace Baptist College.
Well, I worked at the college.
You worked at Hyles-Anderson College.
I worked at Hyles-Anderson College.
Yep.
Even at the time I was there, I could not tell you that I could tell you where every nook and cranny in that place is.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's weird. It's a compilation of many buildings.
Well, it's an old monastery.
Yeah, right. Well, there's that. That in and of itself is its own kind of maze, and then there are other things that they've built onto it, which make it confusing. And there are probably at least 15 rooms that have never been in there.
Damn. Some haunting of Hill House shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about a place that you've worked in. Like, there's a legitimate kind of purpose for everything.
Sure.
And, ideally. But yeah, no, it is a little bit creepy. But no, I had those as a child. I would have those dreams that I could not find my way out because I've been lost in that building even as an adult.
Yeah, no, I have been too. Yeah. Well, I was on work scholarship for a little bit, and we're
not talking about a big building. We're not talking about something that's 30 stories high.
No, it's just very intricate.
Very, very much designed so that somebody could take a nun in a particular place and do whatever he wanted. And
right.
Nobody else would find out.
Right. Or take anyone.
Anyway.
So why we went, I don't think the reason I went was because I missed anything. I honestly just wanted to see who would show up that was an alumni and who would show up that was staff. We've talked about a lot of staff on this podcast before. We've talked about a lot of the issues and problems with Hyles-Anderson College. Excuse me, not just the college in general. We have been pretty granular with Hyles-Anderson College staff. We've been granular with what Hyles-Anderson College stands for, what it really means. Myself and John Warden have gone into great detail about how it affected us as children and as adults, young adults, I should say, and as adults, and the effect that it had on our lives. So I think part of the reason I went was curiosity. What is it? What's the term? Morbid curiosity, I think, is an actual term. I don't know. I quoted that somewhere today. But I think that is a big reason why I went. There's a curiosity in me, like, what's still going on? Are these people... I think a big part of why I went was I wanted to see, are you guys still the same? And what's funny is a lot of churches and pastors who are still IFB would say, well, I want to make sure you're sticking by the stuff and holding the standards and seeing that you're still the same. No, I want to see if you're still just as crazy as you were before. And it was 100% ratified while we were there.
Yeah.
So, why we went, I wanted to see if you guys are still just as lit as you were when I was there. And then once I got there, I decided, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah, you had a real change of heart in the parking lot.
I sure did. And then once we sat down and we're hanging out, there was one person there who had asked if we would come. And again, I keep his name out of the podcast, not to be insensitive, but just because he is a friend. I've been to his church quite a few times. He's been a good friend to me and a help, absolutely. So I don't want to say anything negative or get him sideways with anyone. But
plus, Kirk Beard apparently has listened to that podcast.
He's also Donald Trump.
Yeah, totally Donald. Well, yeah,
it's a huge podcast.
He's got to be so far up Donald Trump's ass. He speaks with his own accent.
At any rate,
Donald Trump's asshole.
I don't think that's...
My name is Kirk Trump Beard.
So, we'll get into that. We definitely will. But my reason why I went was curiosity first. Second...
Sex second.
No sex.
Crabs third.
What? No.
What do you get for $200? Crabs.
I got you. All right, Charlie Sheen. So, I was curious. I wanted to see, is this still the same place that I went to, and not in a good way? And by the way, it definitely is still the same place, just a lot less people enrolled there.
A lot of heavy rebranding. They've gone. So
they've done hard work.
Jack
on
Hyles.
That. You know what? Here, I gotta say. Sorry, time out, really quick. Remember that, please. What's ironic to me is Jack Scott's big thing is that he's from Michigan. Okay? I'm from Michigan, the big house. There was rumors, which may be true or uncorroborated, I don't know, but that he built the new auditorium to mimic the big house, which is University of Michigan's football stadium in Ann Arbor. There were rumors of that, and he's a big Michigan fan. In fact, I recall vividly, I wish I still had the picture, when I left First Baptist Church, not in a bad way. With Keith Calling it was bad because I never attended. I worked on his bus route, but I was never there, and so he was pissed when I got the job to work in Michigan. Anyways, when I left, I remember gifting Jack Scop. I remember texting Ken Scop to find out what his dad's ball cap hat size was, and I gifted him a fitted Michigan football ball cap, which he was super stoked to have on a Sunday morning, the Sunday before the week that I left. I know this is getting convoluted. What I think is hilarious is maize yellow and navy blue are Michigan's colors. Those have 100. If you remember back in the day, it was like green and gold, I think, were Hyles-Anderson's colors. Now it's yellow and blue.
He did that.
It's Michigan colors. Jack Scott put it into place, and they have continued. And if you look at all the H logos, they're all very collegiate looking, like actual legitimate colleges.
Oh yeah, no, he started the college.
It's funny to me that
brand
it's funny to me that they've kept that. Man, rebrand everything. Go to a different color. Go to fucking red.
See, that's a funny thing, and actually this kind of ties into that. But when I was up at Grace, giving ties, like if you're not familiar with this whole culture, we all wore suits and ties all the time.
Yep.
Giving ties was just a thing. Like giving someone a tie was like a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You could just do it.
It was very...
I gave one of my ties to fucking John Jenkins. It was a nice tie.
Yep. I remember James Miller gave me a tie. I still have that tie James Miller gave me. It's a Christian Dior tie, actually.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't look nice, but it's Dior. So it is what it is.
There's a lot of ugly Christian Dior. So I went back to the dorms and told the guys, hey, he said nice tie, so I just took it off and gave it to him.
Rest in peace, James Miller. Sorry, go ahead.
And so, look. All these guys, I gave him a tie. He's never going to wear a tie. The very next day, he shows up wearing my tie.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Holy shit.
It was a nice tie.
Yeah,
well, my
of course
clothes,
it was.
I have taste.
You have good clothes, yeah.
I have fucking taste, people. So, and that was
which
just
is rare.
Yes.
For us.
For people, it's always just like, yes, he's wearing my tie because I have taste. But I say that to say, these people are so out of touch with stuff.
Yeah.
They don't even think about him putting those colors in place. To them,
clearly they don't. Otherwise, they would have switched that shit up.
So, do you remember how many buttons were on Pastor Wilkinson's jacket last night?
3.
Yes, he's wearing 3 buttons. But they were low.
Mm-hmm.
And his sleeves weren't done right.
I didn't notice that. You would notice. I would notice.
They weren't. Someone had just folded them up and done like a hem stitch. And then,
what's the significance of 3 buttons? I mean, that's not really the style anymore.
He likes
2 buttons
3 buttons. I've done some work on 3 button coats for him. In fact, any coat you see him wearing that has a single or a double vent and has 3 buttons, I put the vent in it. Because I'm like, look, you need hilarious. Something that just doesn't look really, really old.
Right. Okay, so
but
we walked in, or there's more for you to say.
No, I'm still going to.
Go.
When I was there, I said, I was working with Keith and some of the other people. I'm like, I need to sit down and have a conversation with him about what he's wearing.
Because it's shit.
Yeah. And
Keith has actually always been very well dressed. I'll say that.
Keith comes
Not
back.
a fan.
Keith comes back to me the next week. Or no, we're sitting they have these famous family dinners at the Callings. We're sitting there, and I'm sitting next to him eating watermelon, and he's like, so
of course you are.
He's like, I talked to him about it, and he thinks that fashion and style are synonymous, and that was the end of that all of it. So these are the people, like, they're not going to correlate the fact that maize and blue have anything to do with Jack Scott.
No.
They're just not gonna.
They're not, but I just wanted to pull that out and just be kind of like, guys, what the fuck? Like, haha. It's a haha moment for me to see even the signs. Mm-hmm. Not any of you need to or should follow me on Instagram, but if you do, you notice that I posted the sign, the alumni sign, which was not an official sign at all. It was just
marker.
Yeah, it was done with a marker.
Jack Scott would have lost his shit if he.
Yeah.
Well, this
absolutely.
Can I go back to this?
Go ahead.
Jack Hyles. I mean, to use the term, what is rolling in his grave?
Yeah.
Because Wilkerson gets up and preaches in his pulpit every Sunday because he has everything. I can literally Google and I could just point my finger at whatever Google spreadsheet came up if I Googled Jack Hyles sermon or just type that into YouTube. Mm-hmm. And one of those or anything that pops up, you're going to hear him preach against people like John Wilkerson. Because John Wilkerson...
Why?
does not preach. John Wilkerson does not raise his voice.
Because of the lack of theatrics, is what you're saying?
Well, if you want to call it that, or they would say pathos.
Yeah. Theatrics, yeah.
But John Wilkerson, and that's the big thing with John Wilkerson with me, and he doesn't get spirited. John Wilkerson, I don't think has ever done anything wrong my family, other than I don't think he first of all, he doesn't have the power. Right, it's Mama should have written that letter to Eddie Lapina.
Agreed. Yeah, no. Eddie, let's just say again, we're getting close to being too granular, but Eddie Lapina runs that shit. Like, you can say what you want, you can come at me, you can be however you want to be. You can't tell me Eddie Lapina does not run First Baptist Church Hammond and Hyles-Anderson. He runs it all. Absolutely, I agree 100%.
But anyway, John Wilkerson, the biggest thing with John Wilkerson that draws me in is he preaches just like my dad.
He really does.
He's a teacher. He has a master's. But according to him, he has a master's in.
Let's back this
education
on shit,
which is good.
But let's back it up. I would not compare him to my dad. I would put my dad eons ahead of him.
No, as far as I'm talking just like the way that he sounds.
Yes, I understand. I just want to distinguish that
from the pulpit.
Yeah, sure.
Jack Hyles screamed and yelled and called people names,
and so did Jack Scott.
I mean, he acted like Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And John Wilkerson is nothing of either of those two men.
Unassuming is the best word.
Very much for a good reason, and that's because they are rebranding, and because it's 2019, and you can't scream at the top of your lungs, be red in the face, and call people faggots from the pulpit.
Right, you can't call women whores because they stand up and walk out of your service.
Not when you want to have 20,000 people show up on a Sunday.
No, it's not going to work in this day.
You've got to act like Joel Osteen, and I don't think John Wilkerson is at a. I think he's so aware he's right there, or he has no idea. He's just who he is.
Yep, he's just existing.
Eddie Lapina absolutely knows these things are a fact.
Oh, 100%. So, we covered why we went. Now we're going to cover what happened. I know we've gotten off in the weeds. We've given and I have given personal anecdotes. Yeah, now you do. But now we're going to get into how things transpired while we were inside of the alumni meeting, which many people were surprised that I actually went to. So we walked in, and I don't have all the names in front of me, but the host was Kirk Beard at, I believe it is Crossroads Church in Hemet, California, which is not far from me, which is
Cross-Genders Church.
Definitely not. Which is the whole reason why we went, because it was close. I would not fly to this thing unless someone wants to fly me to one. I'll go, because I was, for the most part, it was very well received. Strangely.
No, that's exactly what I thought.
When we got in there, though, it was funny, and I want you to talk about the fellow that you talked to, which I believe is Mr. Froke.
Yes.
I could be saying that wrong.
And actually, I'm pretty sure I remember him from the college.
Gotcha. When we got there, though, we aren't wearing our name tags. Where did I put mine? Hang on, I'm coming right back.
Mine's in my coat pocket.
Okay, let me see if I can find mine really quick.
I thought I saw it. There's one in the back of the car. Hi, I'm Andy Hardy.
Hey, don't fucking show son of a bitch.
Andy Hardy.
God damn it. Here we go.
Okay, he's got, get mine out of my coat.
Is yours in your coat?
It's in my coat, yeah. Don't cut any of this shit out either. People like the real nitty-gritty stuff.
No, you're just pumping your shit.
I'm not. It may be in my breast pocket.
Ooh, breasts.
Fondle my breasts.
Here you go.
Yeah, fuck me, bitch.
All right, Rick.
I was gonna go get oversized shirts and ugly ties.
You were supposed to get that for us today.
Oh my god!
All right, so these are
traffic.
This is SoCal. These are our alumni, Hyles-Anderson Alumni and Friends fellowships.
Read
they're
it
called.
and weep, motherfucker.
Bitches. So I'm gonna ruin my shirt by putting this thing in here.
You're wearing a fucking t-shirt.
I know.
Idiot.
Wow. Thanks, Dwight.
I'm wearing a linen.
Oh my god! I don't give a fuck.
This is a 100% Kohl's shirt.
Kohl's?
Yeah, so it's totally disposable.
So it's cheap as fuck. All right. So is mine. Not Kohl's, but cheap as fuck. All right. So we went, and as we're filling out these name tags, Andy, yours says Stuart, mine says.
I wanted to say I didn't go here. That's what I wanted to put so bad, but I was like,
once we got there, it was kind of like the pressure was on. Yeah. So we're filling them out, and Mrs. Froke, I believe it was very inquisitive as to who we were. Like, oh, what's your name? I'm writing it down right now. Like, you could look at my tag.
Sharon Stone. Do you remember me from Basic Instinct? Let me spread my legs.
Let me refresh your memory. So, did you really?
No.
So,
I wish.
So, we're filling this out, but she isn't being like, "Oh, how are you? How far was it?" kind of thing. Like, just strangely, everyone there, everyone that didn't know us.
Well, no,
was
they
strangely.
knew us.
She didn't. She didn't know who we. I don't think so. And eventually they knew who we were, and we'll get to that.
I have an ego, but I'm pretty sure.
So she would just, again, very, very weird questions, just like, who are you? Who asks you that? Who are you? I've never been to anywhere ever.
We're the only two people not wearing suits and ties.
Nevertheless, fuck that. Don't ask me, who are you? I'm writing it down on my name tag. Will you please read it? So, anyways, it was just very strange and awkward.
Sweaty.
Get swifty. So, sweaty balls, yeah. So, we got there, and we're filling out our name tags. Very, very awkward. In fact, every interaction we have with everyone that I didn't previously know was very awkward. So, our friend is sitting over in the corner, and we go sit behind him.
Now,
and
I've got to talk them through walking across
navigation.
the room.
Okay. Well, as we walk
locked eyes with me. And
really? Okay.
I don't know if it was one of two things. Because I, in my heart, genuinely believe that he is aware of everything. I know that they have leverage on him, and I believe...
They is who?
Eddie Lapina. And I'm
First Baptist Church, Hyles-Anderson College, what you're saying.
I don't know if there's someone over Eddie Lapina, but he has cohorts.
Oh, absolutely. He hasn't been in Northwest Indiana for his whole life to not have underlings and cohorts.
He has people.
Sure.
Those people, I believe... that John Wilkerson's completely aware of exactly why he's there and what he's there to do.
And why he's stuck
I
there.
I believe that. Yes, I believe that. I believe he's come to terms with all of it and he understands it.
So as you're walking across...
As I'm walking across, he locks eyes with me. He does this. And it's one of two. It could have been like, oh, holy fuck, he's here.
Right.
Or it could legitimately have...
It's the homie Andy.
Yes. Because I would have expected one of my best friends to act exactly the same way. If he wasn't expecting to see me.
Excuse me.
And you'll hear me, I don't want to be overly defensive, and it's not... Part of it is there's a program part of me to defend authority.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I have to override that and think about that and consider it. But at the same time, I spent a decent amount of time, probably more time than anybody else involved in the church at the time, was spending with John Wilkerson.
Yeah.
And I think that we forged... I would like to say I think we forged some kind of a bond.
I would hope so.
Maybe we didn't. And maybe all he would want to do, because I could be very useful. Either of us would be useful.
Absolutely, yeah.
They would love to reconvert either of us.
Our skill set would be highly useful.
Well, it's not just that, but it's like if we're drinking whiskey and we're doing
a great
drugs
testimony for them.
Yeah, and then if we come back
to return and be the prodigal son would be great for them. They'd love it.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we're not useless assholes.
Which is all we are to them right now.
Right,
we're more than useless right now, actually. So you're walking across. You lock eyes with John Wilkerson.
He kind of jumps, and I'm just like, I almost wanted to go over and say hi to him. And I think I probably should have. I did not want to deal with the asshole sitting at his table.
No.
But later, we were sitting there about 5 minutes, and he hopped up and came over.
Let's continue with the timeline.
Yeah.
So we walked in, we sat down, and again, this is not to say anything against my friend who he sat near, and there are names that we will be talking about, but his is not one of them, and it is not to shame him. It's just I think it's best. So we sat down near him, and I'm telling you, the table he was sitting at got completely dead quiet. Like as soon as we sat down, shoot. Like that moment, when you're at work and there's some coworkers talking and you walk past them and they won't fucking say shit because they're talking about you. I'm not saying they weren't talking about us when we walked in. But
sound like Christians right now. They were swearing and then we walked by and you know what? Nobody would say because we knew that God and I am holy. Bible.
Fuck that. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is you could cut through it with a knife, the tension that was in the air in that moment when we sat there.
These guys.
Mostly because a lot of them are from Faith Baptist Church in Wildomar, California. And so, at any rate, we sat down and we just kind of hung out. And my friend talked to us and made conversation. It was very kind, very genteel, and we had at least three. If there's more than three, tell me. We had at least three people come to us and tell us you have to go get... And there was food there as well. You have to go get something to eat.
I don't know if it's more than three, but we sat through at least a dozen attempts.
Yeah.
I can't remember because there was a fat, kind of Mexican-looking guy. There was a fat white guy. I think we had a woman at least come up to us. Like it was
his wife, pastor's wife came up to us.
I was really not paying attention.
It was like here's what was weird to me. And again, I'm overanalyzing this, and someone will see this and get pissed, and I get it. But what was crazy, what was just strange to me is now, finally, we are the outside looking in. And we've always been the inside, not looking out at all. Just, this is our reality, this is how it goes.
Stuff we did to visitors.
Right, absolutely. We did it ourselves. Yeah, absolutely, we did it ourselves.
Like, hey, why don't you go eat? We got lots of food. Do you not like our food? I remember
bringing a guy to church at Faith Baptist, and we were having some kind of weird, you have the bus competition things that are always weird and gross and nasty. They were doing that in our Sunday school class, and it was like the grossest smelling cheese, whoever could smell it. So it was, what's that cheese? I can't remember. Not Fremunda, that's fake. Like the real, whatever it is, there's a real gross smelling cheese. And we brought this guy to church the first Sunday. It's right there on the tip of your tongue. Mine too. The first Sunday we brought this guy to church, we stuck that fucking cheese in his face and told him to smell it. And he never came back, and we couldn't figure out why. Why? It was stupid. Anyways, that's a whole side note.
First guy I ever had sex with, I gave crabs, and I don't know why
he never came back.
Talk to me anymore.
But all I'm getting at is these people, and it's not. We're not trying to be mean. They came to us and offered us food, for which we're grateful, and we said, "Hey, we ate before we came," which we did, like 10 hours before we went.
I have eaten so much food with boob sweat and fat roll grease. Like, I'm done with it.
I'm over it. No more casserole for you.
Who cooked it? I'm done with it.
Yeah, if I'm at Chipotle and I can't see them cooking it, I'm good. So, but it is funny because reading back through, and I let Josh borrow it, I don't have it with me, our tour handbook, there's a term Jack Scott coined, and it's something in regards to being like aggressively kind or aggressively generous or something like that. Just
you will help me change your tire. God damn it! I'm gonna beat you over the head.
Listen aggressively was a term he used. It makes no sense to me.
Listen aggressively.
But these people were from the era when Jack Scott was in power, and they were absolutely using the principles of, hey, did you get something to eat yet?
You're gonna wish you had eaten at 10 o'clock tonight. No, I'm not, because I actually have food in my house, unlike you, because you're poor and you don't have money.
Either that, or I'll be asleep. So, because I'm old.
Because I drink whiskey and you don't, because you're broke and you don't have money.
For whiskey.
Exactly.
So, or maybe they do and they're just hiding it. Good for them. But the thing is, we get it. Like, as a cordial thing, as a kind thing.
I'm not like, I'm rich. I'm like,
no.
They don't have money to meet basic needs. Dude, did you not ever go to a potluck where it was like, this is the best meal I'm going to have this week, and I'm going to try and take some home?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Exactly.
Every single time.
Well, but now that sheds a lot of new perspective on, even though I just brought that up, it sheds perspective on the fact that food is not a problem for us. We've gone out to eat like literally
every day you've been here. Yeah,
gone out to eat once or twice, which is horrible. Don't do it. It's terrible. We're just
look at my gut. Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not rich, but we can still figure that out because we're not giving all of our goddamn money to the church.
Right, 10% is not going to shit. So,
anyways, it's a lot more than 10%. It's so much more than 10%.
The point that we're making is, it's one thing to say, "Hey, man, did you get something to eat?" No. Okay, cool, man. If you want something to eat, there's food. And actually, I think the Mexican fellow, that was it for him. He was good. But the pastor of the church, I didn't recognize him right off, but the pastor, holy fuck, that guy would not let up. Like, we got to a point where me and him had a back and forth.
Oh, no. He would have been ready to put on boxing gloves.
Yeah,
we had you're going to fucking eat, bitch.
A 10 comment back and forth exchange of, hey, I'm good. I had something to eat already. Oh, but you're going to be sorry. What you said right now. Like
you're going to be sorry.
You're going to be sorry at 10 o'clock done. I'm like, and I said, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. We legit, like fucking kindergartners, went back and forth 5 times each saying, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And eventually I said, I just smiled like, okay. He's like, see? Yes, you are. I was like, holy fuck, man. I want to deck you so hard right now.
I was willing, to get out of that. I was willing to go make a plate of food and then just leave it on the table.
No, man. Like, see, again,
that, or one of my favorite things would be like, you get a plate of what I hate. Oh my god! The worst thing is when you get a plate of food. There's always that one person who's like got eyebrow fungus, like eyebrow dandruff,
and they're always working through the food.
That or what happens is you get something, you see something, and it looks really appetizing, and you get it. You get over to your table before you can take a bite of it. Somebody's like, "Oh yeah,
I made that.
Beth Ann made that," and it's like, "Oh fuck, no. And like you based your entire night on this dish. And it's like, oh, God.
Now you're fucked.
Yeah, so you either eat it, and you would put more of that than anything else on. If you don't eat it, it's going to look conspicuous. If you do, you're going to die of dandruff poisoning.
Right. But here's what we're getting at. And I know this probably to some of you sounds like a lot of silliness. And some of you, this is absolutely registering with you. And I get that on both counts. What we're getting at is there is a power struggle going on. It's one thing.
My food, bitch.
Exactly.
I will not eat your food, bitch.
Can I just come in and sit down and hang out, or do I have to do what you're telling me?
Dude, the Bible's really specific about who to eat food. You know what? They wanted us to vomit.
Is that what it was?
Because, well, actually, it's the other way around. If you eat the food of him who hath an evil eye, you shall vomit it up, etc., etc.
But the point.
Actually, no, that would have just proved them guilty if they had eaten their food and vomited.
The point I'm trying to get at is, we couldn't just go in there and sit down and enjoy anything. There was a force, like, we made this food, you have to eat it. The point I'm trying to make here is that there is always a power struggle within that cult on every single... We aren't remotely involved. We aren't any... As far as the cult is concerned, as far as servants and leaders and all that is concerned, we're no one, yet you have to impose your will on us. Why is that? That's ridiculous, man. Just... tell me, hey, there's food up there. You want to get some? Hey, man, yeah, I'll get some later. Okay, cool. See you. That is a normal interaction. Yes or no? Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, except I don't tell anybody in a day to go get food, especially if I like the food.
An abnormal interaction is, hey, did you get some food? No, we'll get some later. Okay, cool, see you later. And then literally 5 minutes later, because the guy came back twice. Hey, you guys didn't eat any food.
Twice.
At least twice, right? You didn't eat any food. Because we ate before we came.
You don't have food. I don't understand.
We just tried to have a normal...
What are you, like some kind of aliens that don't eat food? I don't get it.
The point I'm trying to get at is...
You just, like, sit here and not eat. I can't believe that you're not eating. There's food. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to go eat it.
Well, he's not saying the exact same words. It's a very similar interaction. But the point is, we couldn't have a normal conversation of...
I'm sorry. Don't you want to eat some food, man?
Exactly.
Come on.
Hey... Is it okay?
It's my church. Their food. They worked hard. These women sweated.
They slaved. Their boobs sweat over this.
Who don't have boobs, their boobs are gone because of the sweat. The ones who have big boobs, their boobs are bigger because of the sweat. Look, you don't even understand. I've had sex with all these women. And they made all the food. Jesus Christ.
The point we're trying to make is...
so you can eat your food.
We couldn't have a normal conversation with this guy if we wanted to.
Are you kidding me? You go eat that food, goddammit.
That's pretty close to it, though. That last one was actually on the money. So the point we're trying to make is, we sit down, we're not... Let me say this, and I said this in a comment.
There's ice cream over there!
Oh my fucking God.
And there's bread pudding, and you're gonna eat it.
He did say bread pudding. The point that I want to get at is, we didn't come in with this swagger. I didn't come in with a Not Your Mother's Podcast shirt on. You didn't come in with a Fuck Jesus shirt on. But that's what I'm saying, though. We didn't come in all crazy. We just came in, sat down, we're very unassuming, weren't being anything except not what everyone else was being. We weren't wearing ties. You weren't wearing a skirt because you're a woman.
I was wearing a suit jacket, so I got less shit.
You did wear it. That's true. You did wear a suit jacket. But all the guys that were wearing shirts and ties, nothing against them. That's fine. Most of the guys, if they weren't wearing a tie, they were wearing a suit.
I could wear bikini underwear and look better than anybody in that room.
That's true.
And I don't have a good body.
Yeah.
Like their clothes just look terrible.
All right, Rick Sanchez.
It's true.
The longer this podcast goes, the more Rick Sanchez he gets, and the sooner we're gonna have to cut this shit off.
No.
But no, we're not going to. So,
jeez, Rick, I can be Morty.
Okay, let's do that. Much more docile. So, what I'm trying to get at is, we just couldn't have a normal conversation with this guy, and we were trying to. I was trying to have a normal, jovial conversation, and it just wasn't happening. Why? Because I wasn't doing what he told me I had to do, and that's a huge problem for them. It's a huge problem. Okay, so there we are. We're sitting there. We keep getting offered food. We keep turning it down. To be honest, my stomach was churning so much that I just couldn't. There was no way I could eat anything.
See, I could have eaten it until I found a hair.
Yeah,
which
probably
would have happened.
You and
on
your
the
dad.
first and a half bite.
So we sit there. We do our thing. We're being unassuming. We're still getting this guy's still coming at us. And I remember, I'm trying to remember the timeline correctly. And I think the last time he came at us, it was really, really hard.
Did you
because he started.
Hyles-Anderson College?
I did. Oh, were you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, I did. You son of a bitch.
Because I didn't graduate, and I put my name on
How
here.
How dare you?
And they think I fucking graduated this shit.
No, it says "and friends." You're good.
Fuck
so Kirk Beard, you're gonna break your Coles shirt. You fucked up your name tag. He's too drunk. Kirk Beard came over to us, and started, not for lack of a better word, absolute truth, verbally assaulting us. More like me specifically, and said he asked me. I think he asked us what our names were. We at this point where we're at in the evening is we're sitting here very much minding our own business, very much chill, not causing a scene, just relaxing, filling out the trivia questions. And Kirk Beard comes over and starts, trying to get a little more information on us because either not nothing. Someone told him who I was and someone told him about the podcast. Right, because he wouldn't be asking me this. He would have asked me this from the get-go when he offered us food and we refused. So he comes over and starts asking us our names and where we live and everything, which is fine. I don't have a problem giving that information up. And then, you know how, and I've said this a couple times to people already the last couple of days, you know how when someone's asking you a question and they already know the answer, they just want to see what you're going to say? That's what Kirk starts doing to me. Like, don't you have a podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. Yeah, and don't you hate Baptists? I'm like, no, my dad's a Baptist pastor. Well, I thought you. And then my friend, and I know there's more to the conversation than that, but I can't recall it all. But my friend steps in and says,
I have the audio.
Oh, you do? Do you have the audio from that?
Some of it, yeah.
Oh man. So my friend steps in and says, hey, and my friend who's an independent fundamental Baptist pastor says, hey, he comes to my church. He's cool. It's cool. But he's like, yeah, but, and his response to that was, yeah, but they didn't eat any of the food. I was offering them the food, and they wouldn't eat it. Like, what bearing does that have on anything? Please help me understand that. I don't get that.
You have to eat their food, bitch.
At any rate, it was very, very strange to me
that it has the stupid medicine in it that makes all your wordy words go bye-bye.
The wordy words. But it just, to me, it was so abstract because in the real world, any party or meeting or event I was attending, the host...
Don't cut that shit out, man. It's good stuff.
The host is not going to come up to me and verbally assault me and end up having to have someone else step in for me to say, hey, it's okay, back off, just because I have a viewpoint that differs from his. That's not real life.
Just because he heard.
Right. He doesn't even know it. He heard it.
No.
So, again... These people don't live in real life. That's not a thing for them.
This guy is too poor to be on Facebook.
No, he has Facebook. He has a joint account with his wife.
Fuck yeah, let me fuck that shit up.
No, we're not doing that right now. All right, so timeline. So the next thing that happens is, I think the next thing, or maybe right before that, John Wilkerson actually came over to you.
He came over before that whole interaction.
Oh, did he? Okay, so John came over to you,
he completely ignored you.
Oh, did he? Well, you're special,
he just scooted out of his thing. He squeezed himself over. Brother Hardy, it's good to see you. And I'm like, and like that's the thing. Like even doing his voice, I'm like, God, I spent, dude. It's just
hours upon hours.
The time that I spent with him is so weird. The time I spent with him was weird. The fact that I spent that much time with him, and then I always remember thinking like I was spending time with him. And he's like, oh yeah, Brother Hardy, scuffed my shoe, helped my son load the lawnmower into the car this morning so he could go do blah, blah, blah. I've got to polish his shoes. And I'm just like, what else are you doing with your life, man? Because, I always thought, like, you've got to be doing a lot of stuff. You have to be doing all this shit. And then the more time I spent with him, the more I realized, like, he did meetings and counseling. Sure. But, he really didn't do all that much. And that was the time when it began to sink in that it's like, somebody else's, this is a fucking juggernaut, and somebody else is running this shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's just the mouthpiece, basically.
Yeah, he ain't doing he's aware of whatever he needs to be.
He has to be, yeah. But I just want to point that out that John actually made a point to come over and say hello to Andrew, which I thought was interesting. And
they're talking the pastor of a mega church, this guy tailored a couple suits for me. I'm gonna be like, hi. Just put it in perspective. It's super weird, and I haven't seen him in years and years and years. I highly doubt he's seen any of my content. And if he has, which he may have, then he's just completely aware of his situation and doesn't give a fuck. And I don't have a following to be any kind of an intimidation to him.
I feel you. So he came over, and then I don't think he came to me, but Dave Douglas, who is the president of the college now, started coming over towards our general area. And Dave actually had a heart attack about a year ago.
Not then. He had a
Not when he saw me. No, but Dave
that
came.
would have been not an unexpected reaction.
No, but Dave was coming our direction, and I jumped. To be honest, I jumped up and went right to him, shook his hand, and said, "Hey, man, I'm glad." And here's one thing I know bugged these guys, because I did this to 2 or 3 guys there that night. I don't do the brother or the doctor thing. I just call you by your first name like another fucking human being. And I called him Dave, which he didn't react to, but he couldn't have loved it. And I said, I just told him, I said, "Hey, Dave, I'm glad to see you're in good health." Like, honestly. And I told him that. Excuse me. I said, I really mean that from the bottom of my heart.
You know what? They may have on the outside reacted in an unfavorable way, but realistically, tell me, when would you not have been happy for someone just to call you Stuart?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
They probably liked it.
Yeah. Because it gave him a sense of normalcy after all these years.
Yeah,
So
well,
brother and doctor.
Well, everybody's brother something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No one's not brother something.
Now you're actually kind of special if they just call you by your name.
Exactly. But I did, and I'm not trying to say I'm cool or special for that, and maybe I should have called him out on some bullshit. I don't know. But in the moment, I saw him, and to be honest, I saw another human being that had recently gone through an incredibly intense health scare, and I thought, man, I'm glad another human being is alive. That's all I could think in that moment. And so I walked up to Dave, and some of you made me mad at me for that, and I don't blame you. I totally get that. But I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, I'm glad to see that, you're doing well. I'm glad that you're in good health." I remember his son. I went to college with his son. I remember his son. And what's funny about Dave Douglas, who is now the president of Hyles-Anderson College, this is not a claim to fame. It's just ironic, is he was roommates with our dad in college, and they were both division leaders in different divisions in the bus ministry at Hyles-Anderson. And Dave said to me a couple times, and I want to like Dave. I'm not going to lie to you. In this moment, as I'm talking about him, I want to like him, because he told me, he said, "Man, I've got some stories about your dad. Like, we were roommates, and I don't know if I should tell him." Tell him.
I got it really clear. He wouldn't say it, and part of it might have been because I was recording, and I don't know if he was on to the fact that I was recording everything, but
I'm sure they expected that from us.
But he said, "I'm not sure I should tell you this," and my first thought was, what? That you and my dad, like, you guys masturbated in college, that you were human beings, that you were something that wasn't just this godly essence of perfection. And that's the problem. He didn't want to tell us, like, it was a hard hit for him to be like, "Yeah, I slept on the top bunk, and your dad slept on the bottom bunk."
And that was it.
And it's, he wouldn't tell us anything else, and it's like, dude, you're human.
Right. Let's tell our stories. Why can't we tell our stories?
And we lost so much of our own family's legacy, anybody who was involved in the church, because we will never actually know the real stories, because whether they're forgotten to time or the person just refuses to tell, we'll never hear those stories.
It's not happening. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. But at any rate, I just wanted to make that point that Dave was kind of in our general area, as far as we were just sitting in a dining hall with a bunch of tables, and he ended up over by us, and we went to just had a quick talk with him, and spoke to him about one of the bus drivers I had when I was working in Division 14 in Chicago, and he can not confirm for me, but he told me that the guy had actually passed away, and it was a good conversation. And honestly, of all the conversations I had that night, aside from the one I had with my friend, like, it was a good conversation I had with Dave Douglas. And again,
well, it was an actual conversation.
It wasn't, but did you say it was? It was. Yeah, no, it was
an actual.
Yeah,
there was actually something.
It wasn't just go eat my food.
Yeah, most of the conversations would have been this, because that's all it was about. Was like, I bus ministry.
Yes,
but I have 300
people.
No,
but it was
do you know what? Somebody walked up on the street the other day and they said, "You must know God. Your ass stinks bad." And I was like, "I haven't showered for 3 days because I've been praying."
Because of the Lord.
And
it was a real ass fucking conversation I had with Dave Douglas, and it wasn't a breath of fresh air, but I'm glad it happened. I wouldn't put it on that pedestal. All right, so we left breath of fresher. So we left the dining hall, for lack of a better word, and we headed over to the auditorium. We walked behind Mike Valdez and Dave and Tina Douglas and Adam Marujo and his wife. I don't know their names, and I'm not mentioning names. I'm just telling you who was there.
Name dropping.
So we got there. There was actually a member of. There were several people from Faith Baptist Church there that night, from Bruce Cotter's church.
Faith in Baptist Church.
And
my faith is only Baptist. I can't have any other faith. It's only Baptist faith.
That should be their motto, though. But as I was talking to them, I was telling them, because they went to school with my parents. Again, someone else that went to school with our parents at Hyles-Anderson. It's true. And as I'm talking to them, I was just telling them, like, man,
they keep their students there for like 10 or 15 years. Literally, everyone's gone to school
with my parents. Yeah, but
they do that because of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their post-grad
in the area is
the
whole
bullshit.
thing. So I was talking to this person, and I told them, like, man, my parents heard about what's going on at Bruce Goddard's because there's a lot going on in recent days.
And if you're like Dana Richin, Zana Richin, you can go there forever if you can't find someone to marry.
Exactly, it's such a bonus. But I told them this person that was.
How much money do you think they made off of her?
A shitload. This person that was still working at Faith Baptist, I told them, like, man, my parents heard about what's going on, and they want to make sure everything's fine. And this person was very very deflecting things and misdirecting things. It's like, man, just be real. Like, can I just have a real conversation with you about the fact that you're in a tough spot right now, and people that you knew from your young adult years actually care and give a fuck about you, unlike your current pastor, and want the best for you, and just want to reach out and say, hey, we hope you're well, and if there's something we can do for you, let us know. No, that's not allowed. Because me and you and we're the conduit for our parents. We're not in the fold. We're not a part of the cool kids. Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, pal. I hope you're doing good. That's all I could get from this guy. Like, that was it. Instead of, oh shit, like, things are tough.
I am so drunk, I'm really lost right now.
I know you are.
But
anyways, I'm trying to avoid dropping names. So we go into the auditorium, and we sit down, and they start the presentation. We're told that more students are paying their bills than ever before, which is probably
82%.
No, it was 90 something. It was like 98.7, I think. Yeah, it was 98.7 because it was 98.7. So we're told that more students are paying their bills than ever. By the way, that means that there's just fewer students than before. We're also told enrollment is up, which I find that hard to believe. But since it's been so low lately, if it's up by 5 students, that's a big deal for them, I'm sure. We're told a lot of interesting things about the state of Hyles-Anderson College. But what was most interesting to me and what I was most looking forward to was hearing Dr. Ray Young speak. I haven't heard that dude speak in forever, in person.
Wow.
And it was wild because it was the same person. Not only did, of course, he sound exactly the same, this guy is trying to sell me books. He was trying to sell me
Jack Hyles, the works of Dr. Hyles.
It was letters that Jack Hyles wrote.
He was just have the first one for 16.
He was
the second
reading.
One for 18.
He was having 7. He was having someone else.
Or I can do both for 20.
It was 2 for 20. I think it was 2 for 18. But he was having someone read letters Jack Hyles wrote and transcribe them, and type them out, and then they're Ray Young's books that he authored. It was unfucking believable.
I bet he listens to Dan Miller's podcast.
It wouldn't surprise me. But my favorite part of that evening was this.
Boba tea.
No. My favorite part, I shouldn't say my favorite part. My favorite part, aside from seeing my friend and having some good fellowship, as we say, was this. And I got very, very nervous. I'm going to tell you the truth. Because remember, we're all about numbers and we're all about being in the ministry and all that shit. So Ray Young got up and Ray Young says, all right, I'm going to have everyone who's here, when I call on you, I want you to stand and tell me when you graduated and how long you...
Give you the audio for this?
No. When you graduated and how long... I'm going to let you have that. That's your own thing.
You can have it.
How long you've been in the ministry and when you graduated, when you were in school. Well, immediately my heart sank. But also, remember, we're not dressed for this.
My dick got hard.
Okay, well, that's different. Heart sinking is not the same as what you said. So, what was crazy to me was, like, suddenly I was transported. I must have had the nightmare last night. I was transported. I was back in college, and I was sitting in front of Ray Young, and I had to stand up and give account. That was intense. If you know that feeling, you know that feeling. If you don't know it, you don't know it. So I'm sitting there, and everyone else is getting... And it's not just like everyone stand. It's remain seated until I call on you, then I'm going to point at you, you're going to stand. I thought... We were way in the back in the corner. I thought, you know what? He knows who we are. He knows what the fuck is up. He's going to skip us. No. He doesn't... Not only does he not skip us, he points at us and says, okay, Hardys... And I was like, oh, shit. Like, he called me out. I was like, no, you're just too drunk.
No, it was good.
So, well, it was 2 words.
Not drunk.
It was 2 words. So,
okay, Hardy?
he looks at us. He calls us by name, and I didn't stand up because I'm not a part of this system anymore.
You need to go back, because anybody who's not watching this doesn't know that when they say, "Where have you been serving?" and "What have you," when this is their opportunity to give their resume, which
Absolutely.
is not an elevator speech.
It's not.
I am John Stevenson Tyler. This is my wife, Rebecca Sabrina Brianna Diamond Mercedes Tyler, and we were married in 2001. We have 4 beautiful children and have
You're
been
Jim
serving
Gaffigan,
God
actually.
at Gooseneck Baptist Bolzatarian Church at the
For
Heinrich
700
Plaza,
years.
and said that the coordinates are 40.39-18 west,
Yep.
47 south, in Stevensboro, Elbuj.
You've gone too far. You got to stop.
And we graduated. I graduated in 2004, and she graduated in 2005.
2017.
And I'm afraid she's been stricken with female, meaning she can't talk in the church right now, so I have to say everything for her. She says hi.
That wasn't all of them, but that was definitely most of them. Let's say that. And then he pointed to us. And I did, and again, I'm not saying I'm cool because of this, but I refused to stand. I was just like, Stuart Hardy, 04 to 08.
I'm a person.
And there's no, like, I'm not serving anywhere. And to count the places I've served, I'm good.
So when we got out of there, because then I did the same thing. I'm like, Andy Hardy, didn't go to college. I did some work for
John
Wilkerson a while back. Like, that was it. And you could tell, I mean, everybody's waiting with bated breath. But I wanted to stand and do what everybody else is doing and be like, and I went to Grace Baptist College, tried to commit suicide. They really didn't like that. I'm self-employed now, and it's done wonders for my anxiety.
Yeah.
And just like, I make my own money. I don't rely on a church. Thanks. Bye.
But we didn't do that. And by the way, like, I will say this. For us, we were very cordial and we were very gracious the whole evening. We did, for all the stuff, for all the stuff that I've said and done. Probably some of you might hope I was there to cause a ruckus. And initially when I got there, that's what I thought I wanted to do. But once I got there, I'm like, I just want to observe and report. That's all I'm here to do. And that's really what this is the second half of what that's about. But during that time, we didn't go at anyone. We weren't hardcore. We weren't like trying to get anyone's goat. Like you had wanted to do this and interview people, but we didn't stick a microphone in anyone's face. We weren't combative.
Things I would like to stick in people's faces.
I know. We weren't combative. We weren't angry. We weren't dicks. We were just there. We were really, honestly, we just wanted to be a fly on the wall. That's all we wanted to be, and that's really all we were. But the host pastor really had it in for us. And this is my highlight of the night. I've got to say this. So we're sitting there. Everyone has stood up and introduced themselves, told us where they're from, and when they went to college, whether or not they did, or if they're just a friend of the pastor there, Kirk Beard or John Wilkerson, and told us where they're serving. Now we've gone through all that. It's all done. And for me, I'm like, okay, I said my thing. I didn't stutter. My voice didn't crack. I didn't get all weird when Ray Young said, okay, Hardee's. And then when after we introduced ourselves, he said, send all your love to my father. Send all my love to your father.
More
that
like,
was
fuck you.
okay.
Actually want
we didn't say that, but it's all done. It's over. We're done. I got through that part. We're good. And then Ray Young, there was only 35 people there. Like we said, Ray Young looks around and says, I think I got everyone. Did I get everyone? Kirk Beard, the pastor, sitting all the way in the back. And again, understand, this is about a power struggle. This isn't about Ray Young defending us or being chill with us. Okay? Ray Young says, did I get everyone? And Kirk Beard, did you get those guys? And he points at us, which isn't his actual voice, okay?
No,
but
he literally is the fat cop from the Animaniacs.
He was pretty loud.
Did you see 3 kids around here? By the way, I really like the way you're singing. Anyways. I'm Kirk Beard, by the way.
He points us out to try. Look, he's had it out for us all night, so he's trying to get us again. And I quote, you have it, audio somewhere, I think. And I quote, Ray Young goes, yeah, we got the Hardees. You were just too busy talking to so-and-so to hear. That was my night was made. Again, I understand that me and Ray are not on the same team.
You got to consider, did Ray really want to give us another opportunity to say anything?
That's true. He definitely didn't. And by the way, right as Ray was saying that, I was saying out loud, very loud, yeah, man, he got us. We're good. So, again, to me, that was the highlight of my night. There was a lot that happened, but I think we've broken a lot of it down for you. And if there's another alumni reunion close, probably going to go again just to see how the fuck it goes down. I'm glad that you were able to come with me. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad we went. I wouldn't take it back. Definitely sent me down a wild and crazy trail and maybe had some crazy nightmares.
Well,
but
I think it was probably healthy for you. I got to be really...
I hope so.
When I was... The problem is you sort of left before you left. Or no, you left after you left. Like, you were out of church for a while before you separated.
Yeah, agreed, yeah.
I was in church when I separated.
Mm-hmm.
So that really changes everything.
Yeah, it does. In a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very rapid succession. So, I guess we just want to kind of break down for you the experience, where we think Hyles-Anderson College is at, what we think it's actually about at this stage, and what its leaders stand for and represent.
Money.
It is, but it is still a cult. And that's an important facet to recall. So that was our night at the alumni reunion, getting us verbally assaulted by the host pastor, trying to talk to people who were in a really bad spot, and not say you're in a bad spot, but just say, hey, we're thinking about you, and having them tell us, you know what, we're just keeping our eyes on Jesus, so it doesn't matter. I'm not saying a name on that because I don't want to cut this thing again.
Fuck.
But you know, it was
text
quite.
Me if you want to know who it was.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you personally if you want.
I'm drunk.
It was quite an all-encompassing experience. I will say this to any of you that can look at the website and see like, oh, there's an alumni event coming up close to me. Expect for high-ranking staff members to be there, and expect to be extremely triggered, because if you're in that place, it's going to happen to you. That's not me trying to be mean or dickish to you. That's just what's going to happen. So anticipate someone of Ray Young or John Wilkerson's caliber being there. Anthony Collins, maybe. I don't know who. Bill McSpadden. Someone like that.
They won't send Anthony Collins.
I hope not. He's too loud.
He's too much of a shithead.
Yeah, he's that for sure. But at any rate, all right, Rick. At any rate, if you intend to go to one, make sure you're well prepared. And if you intend to go to one and you want to talk to me about it ahead of time, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm sure we didn't cover everything that happened last night, but I'm glad we covered what we covered. Thank you for coming with me. Thank you for bringing your Andy Hardy Show mic. I'm sorry we didn't get to employ
I bought a shitload of equipment.
You did too. I know. I know.
It's okay.
That was our experience at the alumni dinner. No, alumni and what was it? Alumni and Friends.
It says alumni and friends
at the
fellowship.
Hyles-Anderson.
Are you kidding? What the fuck?
You bent it.
They put a double plural in here. Look,
they did?
Yeah, they did. Because they can't. They have no education. Alumni and friends fellowships.
Is it really fellowships? No. It's because it's a series.
Yeah, but
it's
still,
multiple fellowships.
No, but you could have said fellowship for each fellowship.
It's true.
You don't need fellowships. You could say alumni and friends.
Either way,
fellowships.
We got 3/4
or alumni and friends.
No, we definitely got 1/3 through this bottle of proper 12 Irish whiskey. It was delicious. We thank you so much for coming along for the ride here and talking.
I'm Andy.
We know.
We know.
And listening to us talk about the alumni and friends fellowships.
Nice. Real nice.
Real nice.
Nice.
Are you fucking done? No, he's not. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for sticking around for this long to listen to us ramble, as drunk as we are. We're very, very grateful. Take that shit out of your fucking mouth. And we hope you enjoyed this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast.
It's Not Your Mother's Podcast, bitch.